The next pose within Sun Salutation A that we'll take a look at is Chaturanga Dandasana. Chaturanga is a pose that requires a lot of strength and body awareness. So the primary thing I would say is don't be afraid to put your knees down. Having your knees down will help you pay closer attention to the other components of the pose to ensure you're doing it in a safe and functional way. Let's start out in high plank. Although plank isn't technically a part of Sun Salutation, we do move into Chaturanga from plank. Wrists should be directly underneath shoulders. Draw your low ribs in and down and your shoulder blades slightly towards each other. Make sure you have a nice straight line from the top of your head down through your feet. And keep all of this engagement, the low ribs pulling in and down, the shoulder blades pulling towards each other as you bend your elbows back and lower halfway or a little less than halfway down for Chaturanga. So let's break that down and look at it a little bit closer. With knees down, you're able to focus on that straight line from top of head down to knees. Draw the low ribs in and down, the shoulder blades slightly towards each other. Keep them pulling towards each other. Keep the engagement in your ribs. And bend your elbows backwards and lower halfway or less down. A good way to know when to stop is to take a block, put it at its highest setting, which should be about the length of your forearm, and then just lower until you touch the block. Come back up. I'll do that again so you can see it, this time without a dog in front. Lower until you touch the block. That's about halfway down. Sometimes if we haven't built up the strength yet for Chaturanga and we're trying to do it on our toes, we'll end up letting our hips sink and we kind of jut our chin forward like we're trying to reach the mat with our neck on the way down. So it could look something like this. Putting your knees down and focusing on keeping the ribs knitted in and the shoulders pulling together and down will help keep that straight line and avoid the sinking of the hips and the rounding forward of the shoulders. One other thing that we hear commonly is that we should shift forward on our toes first before lowering into Chaturanga. We're also told that Chaturanga should give us a 90-degree angle in our arms. That's really just an aesthetic cue, and it's not based on anything functional. There are lots of people smarter than me that have talked about this, so I'm not going to go into detail on it. They'll talk about the shoulder capsule and the pressure you're putting on it, but the way I look at it is when you do a push-up, you just go straight down and back up. You don't lean forward in your push-up first to go down and then come back up. And when you're doing Chaturanga, you are doing a tricep push-up, except you're not going quite as low. In a tricep push-up, your chest would graze the mat. So rather than shifting forward and putting extra pressure on your shoulder, shoulders directly over wrists, just bend your elbows and lower from here. No, you won't have a 90-degree in your elbows. That's okay. It doesn't need to be there. It's just something that looks pretty. While you're building the strength for your Chaturanga, keep your knees down, use a block to help you gauge your distance, and just focus, like I've been saying, on the low ribs pulling in and down and the shoulder blades pulling towards each other, holding all of that in place to keep your nice alignment. And then over time, you'll be able to come up on your toes Keep the engagement through your ribs, your abs, your shoulders, and do Chaturanga on your toes. Next, we will look at upward facing dog.